السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. Yesterday, I read some things in the Quran that I thought I would share with you, some reflections. In Surah Al-Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives comparisons between two battles that the Muslims went into. In one battle, the Muslims were significantly outnumbered. They had very few weapons and resources. The journey was quite far. It was about 120 or more kilometers out of Medina. And the other battle was right in Medina, or you can say it at the outskirts of Medina. And the numbers were not too bad. And the odds were in the favor of the Muslims. The first battle, the Battle of Badr, took place in the second year after the migration of the Muslims to Medina. I won't go into the details of the battle, but when they came face to face with the enemy, they discovered that the Muslims had only 313 men. And the people of Quraysh, this army that had been very well financed and stocked and supplied, they had all kinds of weapons, they all had animals to ride on, plenty of supplies. Basically, there was a whole system of investments that was used to gather money for this army through the trade caravans of Mecca. So, very well-equipped army against an army of people who, A, have no training in fighting, B, they have no supplies. Most of them didn't even have swords. Some of them did have swords. The rest of them used whatever they could find and made it into a weapon. They used sticks and things like this. They only had a few horses, only had a few camels to ride. So the Prophet ﷺ spent that night begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for victory. And he continuously read this dua, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum bi rahmatika astaghith. O he who is eternally alive and the one who maintains everything, the one who runs everything, I appeal to your mercy. Bi rahmatika astaghith. I appeal to your mercy. When the Muslims faced the non-Muslims in battle the next morning, it was a tricky circumstance. A lot of miracles appeared on that day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instilled a sense of calm over the Muslims, so much so that they even started getting drowsy and sleepy. They were so calm. And they went in and they won that battle with just a few swords, few horses, not much rest, long journey, outnumbered basically 3-1, and they won this battle. Now, 1 year later, the people of Quraysh came back, and this time they attacked Medina directly. This was the Battle of Uhud. And in this battle, the Muslims were fighting on their home turf. By now, the numbers of the Muslims had grown. Yes, some of the people that had signed up to fight walked away, about 300 or so people, which was a large portion of their army, who were under the influence of Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, the head of the Munafiqeen. They walked out at the last minute, which was a real blow to the morale of the Muslims. But they still had the numbers and the requirements to win this battle. Now, the Prophet ﷺ positioned certain people on top of a hill, and he told them not to move until he gave the command for them to leave that post. Most of you know what happened when they saw that the Muslims got an early victory and the disbelievers had basically left from the field. They had ran away. And the Muslims that were there in the field below this hilltop started collecting the things that those disbelievers had left behind. A lot of those people who were tempted, a lot of people who were on that hill were tempted to come down and go and join everyone else. Their leader, their Amir, told them that, look, you can't. We have very clear instructions not to move. But they moved. And Khalid bin Walid, who at that time was with the disbelievers and had not yet accepted Islam, he used this opportunity to attack from behind from that unattended post. At the conclusion of all of these discussions, the Quran makes a few points. On one side, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ نَصَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ بِبَدْرٍ وَأَنْتُمْ أَذِلَّةٌ. Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped you out at Badr when you were very insignificant. Adillah, you were small in number, weak in strength, you had no organized army, you had nothing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped you and you won. In the Battle of Uhud, the Quran derives many lessons, and one of them was that you have to obey the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, irrespective of whether you see the outcomes or you don't see the outcomes. And the other thing is, when you have clear instructions, then don't argue about it. Don't create a controversy about it. That why should we do this? But what about this? But what about that? Our reasoning says that we should do this, like what happened at that hilltop with those 40 archers that the Prophet ﷺ had placed. They started having this discussion that, well, yeah, we were positioned here because of safety, but now we've already defeated the army, so we don't need permission now to come down. So whenever the Ummah has contradicted, contravened, or broken a clear, direct instruction of their Prophet ﷺ, they have always suffered. And the losses at Uhud were immense. They lost 70 great people. Amongst them was Sayyid al-Shuhada, Hamza radiallahu anhu, and many other amazing people, Mus'ab ibn Umair radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Abu Salama radiallahu anhu, and many other great people. So the losses will always be significant when we don't listen to our Prophet and we start trying to solve things with our own mind, putting aside his instructions and teachings. This was one of the main lessons in the Battle of Uhud. But the Muslims were quick to learn. You see, after this battle, when the Muslims had suffered these losses, the people of Quraysh hadn't given up. They said, right now, we have weakened them. Many of them have died. Many of them are injured. Let's go back and wipe them out. So they had gathered at a nearby place called Hamra al-Asad, which is not too far from Uhud. So someone came to the Muslims and said, Inna an-nasa qad jama'u lakum fakhshawhum. They have regrouped. You should be afraid. But now the Muslims said, no, we've already learned the lesson. We have nothing to be afraid of and we will not be afraid. So this warning that the Quraysh are coming back to attack you and they're coming back to wipe you out, this warning actually served to fuel their courage and their strength, and their iman went up and they said, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is enough for us. We've learned from our errors. We're not going to repeat those mistakes again. And we are ready to face them. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ said, those who fought at Uhud, even if they're injured, no matter what, they are the same ones that will go and face off these people at Hamra al-Asad. We are not going to recruit anyone new. And they said, yes, we will go. So what happened when the people that had regrouped there at Hamra al-Asad, when they found out that these guys are coming back, we haven't taken them out yet, they haven't lost yet, nor are they ready to accept defeat, then they got really scared. So they said, these people seem to have some different kind of strength. So فَانْقَلَبُوا بِنِعْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَفَضْلٍ. So those people ran away. The Muslims went to Hamra al-Asad. By then the kuffar had already left. So another lesson is that we should learn quickly from our mistakes. The price of disobeying Allah and His Rasul is very, very heavy. And if we've ever disobeyed Allah and His Rasul, we should be very quick to learn from that mistake and move forward and try to make up for whatever we have done. Another message here is that we need to be in the mode where we are ready to make up for our previous mistakes. Do something in place of what we did wrong. Do something right in place of what we did wrong. And another message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us is that, look, the losses, sometimes you will win and sometimes you will lose. This was so that the Muslims don't get demoralized. Yes, you suffered some wounds, but look, those people suffered many wounds in the Battle of Badr as well. So it's not about always winning. It's more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking more at how you did it, what you did in the process, what morals and ethics did you adopt, did you follow, and what mistakes did you make along the way. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking at, and that's how He judges us. Ultimately, victory and defeat are in the hands of Allah. In the other place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that now that you have learned your lesson, now go and make up for it. Go and pursue them. وَلَا تَهِنُوا فِي ابْتِغَاءِ الْقَوْمِ إِن تَكُونُوا تَأْلَمُونَ فَإِنَّهُمْ يَأْلَمُونَ كَمَا تَأْلَمُونَ. Yes, you might be in pain. You might be hurting right now, but remember, they are also in pain. They're also hurting. And the fact is, وَتَرْجُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَرْجُونَ. You are doing this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have nothing to get from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through their actions. So what is it that motivates us? If it's maghfirah, if it's forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's the mercy of Allah, it's the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we should never give up on what is right, because that is always going to be accessible to us. That is always going to be available to us as long as we show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have understood our mistakes and we are ready to make up. So many lessons in Ramadan. Applying all of this to this beautiful month is very simple. Let's look at what mistakes we might have made before this month in our lives, whether it was in relation to school, home, family, our social circles, our akhlaq and mannerisms, our ibadat, our worships, our dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This month is here to give us a chance to undo a lot of the damage that we have done to ourselves over the year or over the past years. But we need to be quick to learn. We can't sit around hoping for things to change and waiting for things to change. We have to initiate the change, just like Sahaba radiallahu anhum. They learned from that mistake very quickly, and right away they went chasing after the enemy, knowing what they had done wrong. We all know that shaitan is our enemy. We all know that we make mistakes, we slip, we forget. Let's not sit around on this for too long. Let's learn quickly from our mistakes and try to win Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure and mercy before this month is over. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq and help us in this process.
Jazakallah khair, Mufti Sahab.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.